We have no idea if these things will ever come back in stock. Gion's kind of prioritizing other things, but that's Tofu Redux. So we have the little hardware with the screws and whatnot that we'll use to mount the full case itself. So I did install on the case just to make life a little bit easier. There's some padding, and my connection's being really weird. So we're sending data. We kind of cut out. Let's see if we can come back. So data is coming back. Give it a second. I am recording this, so those of you who may be watching on YouTube with the VOD, you're not seeing an interruption in broadcast, but for some reason my internet's being weird and Twitch is being kind of weird. So we're going to kind of see what's wrong with Twitch. So we're still sending data and kind of seeing what's going on. But again, those of you watching the VOD, but there we go, friends. Again, for those of you on Twitch, I'm so sorry the signal cut out. I don't know what happened with my internet. I'm so sorry. I am recording this for the VOD, which will go on my YouTube channel later this evening. So you didn't miss much. I'm literally just talking about parts. We're not doing any of the build part just yet. So sorry about that, friends. But I know what's up, Epic. So yeah, so Epic, we're doing another Alps build today for another client. So this client was really cool. So I was kind of going over parts. We're going with Orange Tactile Alps, but we're going with a Tofu Redux. So I was talking with a client, and initially they wanted a Frog Mini Ligera, and I told the client. I said, like, hey, I have one, but I'm not willing to sell mine because, and then the client said, like, are there any in stock? And I told the client, like, good luck finding a Mini Ligera. You guys have to look on Mech Market. These things are really cool. I'll show you my Ligera. I've kind of done some cool mods to this one. So again, this has green Alps, with the Macintosh keycaps, but I have the, add-on, copper weight. So I decided to scuff up my copper weight and remove the outer protective coating because I want this to patina over time. So like your fingerprints, the oil on fingerprints, so as people handle this and if I take it to meets, like this is going to get handled by people. So this is going to patina and get a really cool effect over time. I'm not going to do like a forced patina where I can use like chemicals and stuff like that to kind of do that patina. So we're just going to kind of leave, it's bare copper now. So this is just going to like age and patina over time. So it's going to be really cool over time how this is going to develop. But this is my personal Ligera. I love it. It's just awesome. It's a fun little board and it's a perfect candidate for Alps. So especially if you're like a tray mount 60. But since we couldn't get Ligeras for the client, they opted to go with the Tofu Redux. Tofu Redux, really cool. I mean, KBDFans Tofu lines are kind of one of those one of the OGs within the hobby. They have a ton of different models of the tofu, so it's really known just kind of for this very simple wedge, very simple the design language. But these are great little boards. I mean, these make great Hall effect builds. These make great MX 60% builds on like a budget. And for Alps, this is a fantastic case to use. It's $60. It's for the money. You cannot beat this thing. So that is really cool. So like I really like working with this case. Yeah, the tofu is really good. So yeah. Yeah, if you can get a Frog Mini Ligera, the one thing I will say about the Frog Mini Ligera, if you are in the United States, be very careful getting one of these direct from Gion. We have the uncertain political situation and the tariff situation right now. The Frog Mini Ligeras are not manufactured in South Korea. They are designed by Gion, but these are manufactured in China. So when I ordered mine about 2 months ago, and it shipped from China, and when it came from China, I had to pay a $30 tariff on this thing. So this is a $60 keyboard. I paid a $30 frickin' tariff, and that doesn't include the shipping. So be mindful of when the Ligeras come back in stock. If you can find a vendor who sells Ligeras that's like in your country, like if you can find someone in the United States who sells one, or go on Mech Market, that might be a more cost-effective option. Even when these things come back in stock, especially if you're here in the United States, you might be like, this is a cool board at $60. But at $90, this is not a cool board. Like, I got the email from DHL, like, saying, hey, pay your tariff if you want your thing. And I'm like, sure, I already bought it. Like, I might as well. But, like, that really sucked having to pay a 50% tariff on this damn thing, considering how cheap this board is. So that's just the one thing to kind of be mindful of, is just kind of pay attention to the laws within your country, especially if you're here in the United States. Again, we're just kind of in a weird, like, the tariff situation changes day to day or week to week. It's just kind of the situation we kind of live in. That's neither here nor there. That's just the reality if you're going to get stuff. So be really mindful when you order from GionWorks going forward. Like, you really want to make sure it's made in South Korea, because if you have something that he manufactures in China, you're going to be paying a tariff, and that sucks. So we're going to put the case to the side because for most of the stream, we're mainly going to be working on the PCB and plate assembly. So let me put the case to the side. There we go. So yeah, Tofu's awesome. Like, Tofus are great. Like, if you're in the United States, Divinity has like the entire Tofu line in stock. So they're based in the U.S. You're not going to get tariffs if you order a Tofu Redux. So much of the better options. I think the Ligera is objectively a better case, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to get one of these. So we're going to put mine to the side. We're going to get the PCB out, and we're going to go from there, friends. So there we go. So let me put my little anti-stack bag. So here's our PCB. I'll go over it again. So this is the Steezy Alps 60% PCB. So this is in the Heine H60 form factor. So this PCB fits in a wide variety of 60% boards. Like, I have this in my Frog Mini. I have this in my Frog Mini Passante. Like, this is in my AO3 Polaris. This fits in a ton of 60% boards. Any tray mount 60%, this thing would pretty much work. It's also really nice because you can either use it with the USB-C port, or if you have a case that uses the a unified daughter board, it'll also work with a unified daughter board. So that's really, really awesome. And it supports a wide variety of layouts. You can use Alps stabilizers. You can use the DCS keycaps that use Cherry MX stabilizers. You can do split backspace. There's a ton of bottom rows that are supported. This also supports the bottom row for the Macintosh keycaps, which is its own thing. So this is a really great PCB. Now, it is Alps only. So if you're saying like, hey man, maybe I want to use this, I buy this and I use it daily later down the run, I said, hey, I'll use this PCB for MX. It is Alps only. If you look at the hole cutouts for the solder, those are not Cherry MX holes. So you want to make sure if you get this PCB, you're going to use it for an Alps build. Now, one thing to note about this, to get these PCBs, it's also kind of weird right now because of the political situation in the United States. Right now, shipments from Europe are kind of on hold. Apple T is based in Sweden, and he just sent a notice, like, shipments to the United States are on hold until they get the kind of tariff situation figured out from Europe. I think that was just kind of from, like the United States government, the Postal Service, and other I think the Customs Enforcement, just so they can get their stuff in order so they can start processing orders from Europe with the new tariff system. So Apple T our European vendors should be shipping over to the United States eventually. It's just right now things are kind of on hold until they can kind of figure out what the heck is going on. So, hey man, that's just kind of, it's 2025, and that's just kind of the weirdness that we deal with. So, yeah, really cool. And then also plate. As you can see, this has come from my friend Tom over at Hype Keyboards. Whenever you see me build a custom keyboard, especially an Alps board, my plates are going to be made by Tom. He's pretty much the only guy at this point that I trust to make my plates. Just to kind of put something out there for Tom, if you ever need a custom plate made for a keyboard, reach out to Tom at Hype Keyboards. Even if he doesn't have the plate file on hand, if you have the plate file, you can send that to him. Or maybe you need a plate made. Tom can also reverse engineer a plate. So I wanted a plate for my Jelly Evolve, and Owl Labs doesn't have the plate files anymore. So I mailed Tom a plate that I had, and he reverse engineered that plate and then mailed me back the plate I sent him and a new plate that I ordered, which was really cool. So Tom is really good. He's very knowledgeable at what he does. And he can make a plate in any thickness, any material you can think of. And he can also he can reverse engineer plates from scratch, and he can also modify plate files. He's actually modifying a topiary plate file for me as we speak that I sent him today. So that'll be really cool. So just a lot of love for Tom over at Hype. Really, really down-to-earth guy. And everyone I talk to within the hobby, and I mentioned Hype Keyboards, like so much love for this guy. So Tom, you're doing great work. And again, like, you will continue to have my business for many years to come. So let's get this plate out, kind of go over the plate too. So one thing about this, I got to bring my keyboard out for example. So one thing about the Macintosh keycaps, if you want to use Macintosh keycaps or do like a 60% build, you have to do a 60%. One thing about the Macintosh keycaps, I'll kind of show you why you can only really do a 60%. And it has to do with the F row, and that's what kind of sucks. So here's an F row keycap from the Macintosh keycaps. And I flip it over, you're going to see the problem. You see that stem right there? It's rotated 90 degrees. So for some reason, when Apple designed their keyboards, their Alps keyboards in the 80s and 90s, they decided to have their F row rotated 90 degrees, whereas your standard keycap has like your standard layout. So like the key rep is rotated 90 degrees. And it's also the stem is ridiculously tall, if you can see that. So if you try to do like a TKL, like a Geon, like Frog or something, it's not going to work using Apple keycaps, unfortunately. So really, if you're going to do it, you really have two options. You have to do a 60%, or you have to do an F rowless full size, and good luck finding one. The Bloody Eyes is making a full size F rowless keyboard that's going to probably go in group buy later this year. And I kind of put the Bloody Eyes and Careless together so they could design an Alps. So Careless could design the Alps plate file for that particular board. So so that's a board I'm definitely going to be buying, and I'm buying one specifically to put brown Alps in it and to put Apple keycaps on a full F rowless full size board. So Apple keycaps, you really got to stick to an F rowless board or just a 60%. So that's really kind of your best option. But another weird quirk about these is the bottom row. The bottom row is proprietary. Most bottom rows, you have your 1.5U modifiers, which we do have here. If you look at like what will be like your Windows key or option keys, these are 1.25 versus your 1U. And then the space bar is 6.5U. So it's a very proprietary, very weird bottom row. So if you want to use Apple keycaps, you have to use a specific plate file that supports the Apple bottom row. It is its own proprietary layout. That's just kind of one of the quirks of doing the Apple keycaps. But honestly, once you know those things, once you have the plate file, you have it made, you get a PCB, you get your keycaps restored, and then also we're using original Alps pattern plate mount piece stabilizers. It's a pretty simple build to do, but these are so worth it. Like when you use 60% board Alps builds with Apple keycaps, freaking awesome. One of my favorite. I've done a few of these. I did one for a client a couple of weeks ago. I'm doing one for this client. And then I did one for my friend Chester, who owns KBDFans up in Toronto, Canada. And Chester at KBDFans, if definitely check KBDFans out too. Chester, I'm going to be actually checking out one of KBDFans' upcoming keyboards, which is going to be really cool. So KBDFans running a board called the Secret. It's 65% that they're going to be around the mid-range. So Chester's aiming for around $200 to $250, and Chester is going to let me be one of the content creators that takes a look at his protos. So I'm on the list of people who are going to be reviewing it. People like Alex Odos, Captain Sterling, some of the other bigger people in the space, and I'll be one of those people, one of the smaller creators that's going to take a look and give that board some exposure to encourage people to join the group buy later this year. So again, Chester's also most famous board is the W70. That's the Toyota AE86 initial D board. So that's going to be a really cool sponsored build that's going to come up in probably the next few weeks. Being able to do kind of my first kind of sponsored stream helping promote a group buy, which is going to be awesome. So a lot of much love and thanks to Chester, Tom, a bunch of people I've met and become friends with in the hobby. So that's enough of me blabbering on. Let's get some switches. Let's start lubing some stabs, and we're going to go from there. So we're going to be using Orange Alps today. I want to get my spudger tool out because that just kind of helps put these clips in. So, oh yeah, dude, I'm really thankful for the opportunity. Chester's been a friend of mine since I got into the hobby, and he reached out, and I just told him, like, I would love to it'd be an honor to look at your board and promote it. I mean, one thing about Chester and just a lot of people within the hobby, like, they're small creators. Like, KBDFans is just Chester and I think a couple friends who, like, help him out. Like, it's very much a passion project. Like, the W70, like, the base, like, 75% they ran earlier this year, the Secret, and then he's working on a TKL version of his initial D board. Like, it's all labors of love, and very, in KBDFans, they're very limited on resources, so a lot of their boards have been very limited runs. Both the W70 and the base only were runs of about 200 boards, not because Chester wanted to keep it limited, it's because they were limited on financial resources. So that's why they only did their runs are very small, relatively speaking. Like 200 is a pretty big run compared to like some of the smaller, more like boutique, bespoke creators, like TGR or like Elaine at Singa. But that's all. 200 is also really small compared to like someone like Omnitype or Canon Keys or Novel Keys who will do runs of like maybe several hundred or several thousand boards. So, and again, those big companies can do that because they have the capital. They have millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of capital to be able to make that much product and sit on that product for many, many months or even years. So, like the people like Chester and most creators in this space do not have the ability to just put that much capital out. And it's completely understandable. Shit, crud, I don't have like couple $100,000 just laying around to run a group buy or to make a board. It's crazy. So that's just something to note, just why I've said before, why we run the group buys. So I'm getting all these stabilizer parts out right now. So we're getting the clips out. I want to get my wires out. make sure everything looks good. So it's really cool. But yeah, if you can get a W70, it is absolutely worth it. It's probably, like, when I take it out to meets, I definitely have to have it. I have to bring a power bank or some way to power it, because part of what makes the W70 so cool are the Toyota AE86 tail lights on it. Like, that's what makes it so cool. Is when it's lit, and that board is lit up, it is a true work of art. It is so awesome. Like, I love just looking at that board, especially if I'm doing work at night or something, or just gaming at night. I'll take the W70 out, because the accent of those taillights is just sick. Like, absolutely awesome. So I'm just figuring out which 2U wires. I have a ton of different ones. But yeah, if you can ever pick up a W70, definitely check it out. Probably one of my all-time favorite boards. And that's not just because Chester is my friend. Like, I have a really cool... I mean, I think for, like, Keybay Tech, like, Chester is a friend of mine, but he's just a genuinely good person. Like, really good, down-to-earth. Like, I'll tell you how I got my W70 while I'm getting this crap out. Like, so, like, I got my So, the W70 group buy ran in May, in, like, July of, like, 2024. And when the first group buy ran, I by the time I heard about the board, it was sold out. They only did 100 units in round 1. When round 2 happened, I missed it. I was kind of in between jobs at the time. I didn't have the money to do it. And I went to Keep Life in 2024, and someone had a W70 that had just gotten it. And I knew it was a board I wanted, but seeing it in person, I'm like, oh my God, I have to have that thing. And I even made a guy an offer, and he said, dude, I can't sell it, dude. It was a dream board for him. So he said, but the guy told me was like, hey man, reach out to like Keybay Tech, like shoot him a text, like shoot him a message on Discord, and like, who knows, he may have one, or he may do like a third run of them. So I reached out to Chester. I reached out to Chester, and he got back to me and he said, hey, like, thanks for reaching out and like showing interest in the project. We actually have 2 units that did not sell in the round 2 group buy. Like, and Chester said, like, if you would want to, I would be willing to sell you one. And I told Chester, send me an invoice right now. So Chester sent me an invoice, and I bought a round 2 W70. And I am so happy. Like, I shot tech, and it was kind of the start of my friendship with Chester. And earlier this year, when I was really getting into Alps, I wanted to do something to say thank you to Chester. So that's why I built Chester an Alps board. So I built him I asked him kind of what he wanted. So Chester said he wanted a white keyboard, and he's a Mac guy. So Chester likes Macs. So I said, well, we got to do Apple Keycaps. And he said, that's fine with me. And I said, do you like a 60? And he said, sure, I'm cool with 60%. So I got his colors, and then I figured out what switches Chester likes. So Chester is a big fan of linears. So I put green Alps in Chester's build, because that's like probably the best Alps linear. And I built it, and I mailed it to him, and he like became hooked on Alps. Like, Chester loves it. And he said he and his partner like love using the board. They love showing people and friends and whatnot. And Chester actually has a store now in Toronto. So if you're up in the Toronto area, definitely go check out the Keybay Tech's like physical store. They just did a meetup with Alex Odos promoting the Manta. So Alex Odos came out, because Alex Odos is based in Toronto, and they had a few people come out, and it was really cool, like seeing the pictures and seeing people come through. And Chester has the Alps board that I built him on display in his shop, and he said he loves showing people the Alps board and showing people like, hey, Alps can be really cool, which is really nice. So that just kind of, like, Chester is definitely a friend of the channel, and I love the guy, and he will forever have my support. And being able to be part of promoting his next project is just going to be an absolute honor and a pleasure. Like, I'm so excited to promote his next board, and to be like on the list of like creators with like people who are way bigger than me, like people like Captain Sterling, Alex Odos, Lightning, and a few other creators. Like, to be able to, like, that's kind of cool to be on like the list of people who are going to help feature and promote the board. I want to encourage people to support Keybay. Like, they're really cool. And Chester is starting a very nice price point that'll be very accessible to everyone. So if you're looking for like a really cool, like high quality 65% for like not a lot of money, like $300, like definitely consider checking out The Secret. And he's going to have a ton of cool colorways. And the design I think is really, really cool. But yeah, and again, that will be a board I will purchase with my own money. I told Chester, like, I will review a unit for you, like, review one of your prototypes and build it on stream and whatnot, but, like, I'm still buying my own. So this is definitely going to be mine. Yeah. It's cool. Like, honestly, like, and again, it's just all about, like, making friends and connections with people. Like, I didn't expect Chester to, like, want me to be one of the people to do it. Because I told Chester, like, because prototypes are expensive, like, 2 to 3, 4 times as much as, like, your MSRP of the board. Because you're only making, like, a handful of them. So, like, I get why the designers of boards are very selective on who they send boards out to. I told Chester, reach out to the big creators in the space. Like, reach out to, like, again, Alex Odos for sure. Like, reach out to Captain Sterling, like Lightning, and some of the other big guys, like Keyboard or And We Win, if they want to check it out. And if you have I told Chester, if you have a prototype left, or you have one to spare, I would happily be part of the promotion. And Chester reached out to me earlier this week and said, yeah, dude, we got an extra proto that we're sending your way. I'm like, hell yeah. So, but I told Chester I am sending it back, because I'm not taking one of his prototypes. That's just not fair, right, to me. So I want to give him, because that prototype is like way more than the MSRP of the board. So like those protos are not cheap. Like, I think it's average for like a prototype for like a keyboard can be like in excess of $1,000. Like, those prototypes boards are not cheap. Like, they're really expensive, because sometimes protos are just one-offs. Like, very few people will make like a ton of prototypes. Like, most cases when you do group buys, it's only like 2 or 3 units that are being circulated through all like the big creators, which is kind of crazy. So that's just something to kind of be aware of. Like, especially some like the really like smaller, more bespoke boards. Like, you probably only have 1 or 2 protos, so like it'll go from like Alex Odos to Captain Sterling to Black Simon to like Andy Wynn and a bunch of other creators, and they're all basically reviewing and rebuilding and building the same board. Because, like, for example, I know the Diversity TKL, when I watched Black Simon's review of it, the unit he was building, he had just gotten from Alex Odos. Alex Odos had built it on stream, like, the week before. So, that was just, because I know that proto was probably ridiculously expensive, because that's a very complex board. So, that's just kind of the thing with that. So, proto's really expensive, so that's why I get why they're very selective on who they can send boards to. And it's just because, yeah, those protos when I found out how much protos cost, I'm like, oh my god, like $1,000+ for a board and like the cheap end, like, that's crazy. So, because they're basically one-offs. You haven't set up the manufacturing of scale. It's not the economy of scale where you're making like a run of 200 boards where you can bring costs down. Like, the more boards you make, the cheaper it is. That's why, like, someone like for example, like Omnitype, they could sell the Bauer Light for $120 because they probably made a few thousand of those stinking things. So, like, when you're making a few thousand of something, you can sell it for a lot cheaper, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, we're just installing the clips right now, and then we'll put in some switches, and then we'll start lubing. Like, one of my methodologies for building Alps, I install the stabilized keycaps first and lube them up, and then I solder them into the PCB. I just do that because Alps stabilizers are, to be completely honest, are kind of a pain in the ass. Especially once the board is installed and you got all the switches in, all the keycaps, they're just out, especially Alps spacebars, they fucking suck, to be completely honest. It sucks. So, like, you really just want to, so that's why I like knock out the stabilizers at the beginning, because it just makes my life easier. So that's just kind of my build methodology. So if you're watching some of the VODs just to kind of learn about Alps and how to build them, like, yeah, my recommendation, like, definitely do your stabilized keycaps first. That's just going to make your life a little more pleasant as you do it. So, cool. We're just putting these last clips in, and then we'll get these switches out. So, orange, and this is going to be a really cool build because it's going to have, like, the original switch like these Apple keycaps came with. So that's really, really nice. So we're going to dump these ones out. We're going to use these ones first. Look at that. Look at these little buggers. So, got these beautiful orange Alps right here. So, really nice switch. These orange Alps have been restored. I did a full restoration job on these. Part of what makes Alps just so intimidating to a lot of people is actually getting them. You want to go to the OG Alps. Like, Matthias switches are good, like, as new production, but the best sound and feel are going to be OG Alps. So you gotta harvest them. You gotta restore them. Most of the time when you find these came from boards that were clapped. They were in businesses. They were in schools. They were very well loved, and they were used and abused. These things were not taken care of. So you definitely just want to find, so when you find these boards, you're going to have to put a lot of love, and Alps are a labor of love. So it takes me several hours to restore a set of Alps switches, like to tear them down, to restore the pins, to clean everything, to let them dry, and then reassemble them. It is a very, very involved process. So that's why I think a lot of people don't dive into Alps, because it's a very high bar to entry. It's not that they're very expensive. Like you can, especially if you go with like some of the more common Alps, like white Alps or like black Alps, or like cream dampened Alps, or even to a lesser extent like green Alps. Like they're not, the boards aren't expensive. It's just all the work you have to put into them is pretty insane. So that's why a lot of people just kind of are turned off by Alps, because of the amount of work. So they're definitely a labor of love. And you really have to have a love and a passion for like the history and the switch, and just the build process. And also these are pretty advanced builds as well, once we kind of get into it. So let me get my stabilized keycaps out. So I'm probably going to have to dump out my keycaps and find them because we're not using all of them. We're not using the F-Row, Arrows, Home Cluster, and Numpad. So we're just using the main Alphas cluster. So we have our space bar. So this space bar looks pretty cool. So very, very well yellowed. So really cool. That is awesome. So you can see that space bar. Look how yellow, that patina. Oh, so yellow. Love it. So that's part of the charm of these. So we got our shift, got our backspace. We want our enter. Where the heck are you? Enter, and then we need our other shift. Where the heck are you? It's my enter. Don't need that one. Hold it. No. That enter is pretty clapped. No caps. Okay. Not those. Where are you? Shift. There we go. Awesome. Okay. Got our stabilized keycaps. So we're going to put all of these away. All right, Epic. Thank you for tuning in, my man. It's always a good time, my man. Again, you can, the VOD will be posted later tonight, so definitely check it out. Again, these old Macintosh builds are awesome. So take it easy, my man. So really, really good time, friends. So really cool. So we're going to get these ones going. So a lot of really cool history. And again, these keycaps are like as old as the switches. These are like 40-year-old keycaps and switches. So it's pretty crazy, just all the age of this stuff and whatnot. And then it still works for the most part. So that's awesome. So let's get that out. So we're using 205G0 for this today. One of the things about this with Alps, you have to be very mindful of what you lube them with. You don't want to use like 205G0 or like anything you would use for like Cherry MX switches or Cherry MX stabs in the switches. You don't want to lube the switches. What you want, you need to use a very specific type of lube on these old on these old Alps keycaps. There's the specific type of lube you want to use is called R0, I think it's 57. Or 58, but it's a dry lube because that's because you don't want a wet lube inside these switches. It's going to ruin the feel and probably will ruin the switch. So you really want to use if you're going to want to go the route of lubing Alps switches, which is in some cases you have to absolutely lube them. You have to be very mindful and do your research on what type of lube you need to use. So it's R057, very, very specific type of lube, and there's other things you can do as well. I definitely recommend if the switches are really clapped, doing like an ultrasonic cleaning, or really, really deep cleaning the slider, the outer and upper housing, because that's just they're gonna be pretty disgusting. So that's just something you do want to be mindful of. So we're putting that one in. Oh, come on. Awesome. There we go. And then we're gonna put these ones in. So I'm gonna put these clips in. Perfect. And then we have our clips in here, so that's awesome. So, all right, we have our clips and our parts on the keycaps. We have our wires. So primarily what we're going to focus on is actually lubing these stabilizers. So that's what we're going to do, make them sound nice. And again, just like with Cherry MX stabilizers, you really want to lube Alps stabilizers. They get really, really rattly, and they just sound terrible if you don't lube them. So like I've gotten boards that I want to restore or want to harvest, and those stabilizers sound awful because they're not lubed at all. So that's just what happens when you're dealing with stuff that's like this old. So you definitely just want to be mindful. So yeah, 205G0 is what I recommend for Alps stabilizers. Really, really fantastic type of lube. Great on the Cherry MX side, and it makes a great like the Alps builds that I have that use Alps pattern stabilizers. Stabs are fantastic. So that's just something you want to be mindful of, is just what type of lube you're using on the stabs. So just like Cherry MX, you want to lube these puppies. So, perfect. So I'm just putting lube in these clips, and then we'll start putting some of the wires in and putting the keycaps on. So that's fantastic. So cool. Alright, got the clips lubed. Let's start doing stabilizers. So we're going to put these stabilizer wires in. So we're basically just lubing any of the points of contact that the wire makes. So that's what we're doing on these Alps stabs. So we're just kind of lubing these bottom of these wires where they're going to interface with these clips. And that's just going to be, make these a little bit smoother. Awesome. Perfect. So really, really good as we kind of do it, friends. So we got a cool few builds. My folks who are on here, we are going to be on Twitch. We're going to have some back-to-back streams this weekend. It's Labor Day weekend here in the United States. So one thing that's really kind of cool is I have another client build that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, and then another client build we're going to do on Sunday, and then we got a personal build we also got to do. So yeah, a lot of exciting things are happening in terms of Twitch. So it's definitely going to be a pretty busy weekend in terms of streams, in terms of building boards. So pretty much going to be streaming every day for the next 4 days, doing some of these builds. I like doing my builds on stream. It's a good way to teach people about what goes into Alps and just kind of showcase people some things that I have in my personal collection. Actually, it's funny. I actually sold a couple of boards from my personal collection today. They were just boards I really didn't care about because there was another board that went on group buy that I was really interested in. I'm like, really don't want to be like, I probably should downsize. And I had these two boards. I'm like, I really don't care about them. So I put them on Mech Market and they sold like immediately. So that the money from those two boards is going to be funding this board I purchased on group buy, which is going to be cool. So. But I'll be at Keep Life next Saturday. So if you're going, if you're here in Los Angeles or in in California, definitely check out Keep Life. It's going to be one of the biggest keyboard meets on the western coast of North America. There's going to be a ton of people. There's going to be hundreds of boards there. There's going to be a ton of amazing vendors and creators there. So I'll be bringing pretty much all my Alps builds there, and it's going to be freaking awesome. So I'll be the Alps guy at Keep Life. So if you want to learn about Alps or you want to see Alps boards in person, definitely come by and say hi, because it's just going to be such a fun time just meeting everybody, and I look forward to seeing everyone over at Keep Life. So, okay, that's a little bit interesting. These are a little tight. Huh, interesting. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can. That wire is a little tight. I'm gonna see if I can get a different wire. Give me a second. I have a nice inventory of Alps stuff. I gotta find it. There we go. So let's see if I have a different wire that'll work, because that wire just feels tight. So that 275 bar just feels weird. So I'm gonna see if I can get a different one. Okay. Pull this one out really quick. That is so weird. These clips are brutal. Okay, I'm gonna just try something. Give me a second, friends. Okay, we're having a fun stream today, friends. I'm gonna try doing my big right shift on it. So let's just see. See how this one goes. Let's just put some lube. I'm going to put some lube in these clips right here. And we're just lubing these stabs, folks. So, perfect. We're going to add some lube on the top part of this wire. Cool. And we're going to clip this one in and see what goes on. Give me a second, we're just kind of tuning this one. Sorry, I'm just testing this one. It's been a little weird. Cool. Alright, shift is good. I'm going to do my spacebar, just to knock it out. Alps spacebars are kind of a pain in the ass, so just FYI, if you're going to do Alps, just beware, the spacebars kind of suck. So, that is just something to be aware of. So, cool. All right, we got some friends. Again, those of you who are tuned in, thank you. It's a lot of fun. We're just lubing this stabilizing post here. Cool. Got that one's lube this wire here. Cool, I've been in here about 45 minutes. Cool, all right. Cool. Got our spacebar on. It's just a little bit of that, friends. Cool. We got our spacebar. We got our big right shift. Perfect. Perfect. Look at that patina. Woo. Looking good. Nice. Looking good, friends. Let's do that. Let's do our enter button. Cool, we got our enter. Let's get the wire lubed up. Cool. All right, let's do our backspace. Cool. Good times. Cool. Just got to do my left shift and we'll be good. So, really good. Cool. All right, we're lubed. We are lubed up, everybody. Cool. All right, I'll put our 205G0 away. Oh, my hands look at all that crap. Let me put my stabilizer parts away. Cool. Wires. Awesome. So there we go. Let's get our PCB down, and I want to line everything up with the PCB, and then we'll solder stuff in. So make sure. Cool. All right, we're good. So I'm gonna move those switches over to the side. I'm gonna get my little soldering vent on, and we're gonna fire up the soldering iron. Cool. Let's get my solder wick going. All right, we're gonna do some soldering now, folks. So my soldering iron's warming up. Let's see what we got. Cool. Got the space bar in. Let's put this one in. Let's just see if these are all seated right. All right, cool. I'm gonna Got those in. Let's cool. Those ones. Let me wipe my solder chip off. All right, friends, let's put that to the side for right now. And there we go, friends. So we have our stabilized keycaps installed and soldered in. They're lubed up. Let me just get the thing, and I just want to wipe off any lube that was on these. So there we go, get that nice little space bar. But you can see that patina. You can see how the space bar is a different color. So you can definitely see that from the side. Again, the spacebar does have that patina. So let's just see how these sound. Cool. All right, let's do a test. All right, let's get this one going. Go into VIA, because these are VIA PCBs. There we go. I want to just program this PCB. So we are tanks in. To make sure the key map looks all good. Cool. All right, key map looks good. Cool. Stabilized keys are good. Awesome. Perfect. Let's just put VIA away for right now. So that's looking really good. So let's put in some other keys. I want to kind of do my perimeter right now. Perfect. Let's put our bottom row in. Again, we have that weird proprietary bottom row on these old Apple keyboards. So that's just kind of an adjustment when you get to these boards. Okay, cool, got that. Let's put that one. We'll put these three just to kind of hold everything in. And then our caps lock. There we go. Alright, you can see those beautiful orange Alps. Looking good. So let's solder those in, and then we'll kind of go from there. Perfect. Alright, let's put this one in. Perfect, those are good. Awesome. Looking good, friends. Looking good. Let's do this one really quick. Cool. Those are good. Let's do this bottom row now. Almost there, friends. Cool. Awesome. Those are soldered in. Perfect. So, there we go, friends. All right, let's open up VIA. Okay, we have a few switches that are no good, which is fine. So, all right, friends, we're gonna have to get out our desolder gun. Perfect. So our tab, left control, left windows, and right control. So we have five switches that are just being faulty. So we're gonna fix those. So let's unplug this and we're gonna desolder those and we're gonna put those on. So it's just part of the process. Let me get my desolder gun out. And we'll go from there. There's the desolder gun. Let me get my solder chamber. Let me get my solder tools. Let me get my tools out for this board. Let me put a new filter in this thing, and then we'll get going to clean this thing thoroughly last night. I had to desolder a board last night. So, oh, all right, here's that. Awesome. There's that. Let's get this cable. Perfect. All right. Let's make sure my temperature is dialed in. Let's power this puppy on. Let's let it warm up. It's my Hakko FR301. Great freaking tool. Love this thing. So I'm going to do these two first. So let's just let this puppy warm up. It's warming up. Once that light turns off, we'll be good. Come on, come on. Boop. There we go. Cool. All right. I got those two. I need these two outer ones. Oh, got a clog. Give me a second. Hold up. See if I can pull this out. This thing is also a very finicky tool. Yep, there we go. Look at that. Very finicky tool. Look at that. I had all that crap that was clogged into it. So, very finicky tool, but hey. It's a very high maintenance tool, but this is a very great tool. So you just gotta know how to, just kind of know how it feels. That one's good. I got those two. All right, cool. So those two are good. And then it's my tab. Yeah, tab. Cool. All right, friends, let's pull these out. Where'd my thingy go? There we go. Cool. Those two, and then this tab. God. Some of these are harder to pull out than others, so just kind of the nature of the game. You just spudging them out. There we go. Cool. All right, those 5. Make sure we're clean. Awesome. Cool. All right, let's try this again. Let's get some other switches. Hopefully we get a little more lucky with this one. Cool. Oh yeah. So let's put those in. Let's get. All right, let's do this. Let's resolder these puppies. Okay, just fixing these. Hopefully these switch replacements work. That's part of the fun of Alps is these are 40-year-old switches. And even after careful restoration, you're going to have faulty switches. Okay, cool. All right, let's see what we can do here. Okay, let's test these really quick. All right. Ah, damn. Oh, that's good. Tab is good. Caps lock, shift. Escape is good. Yeah. Okay, my controls are still messed up. Okay, let me just X out really quick. I want to just test one thing. Yeah, controls are messed. Like, right. Okay, cool. So my controls are still messed up, so let's pull those out again. Just part of doing and troubleshooting these boards and these builds. So desolder these. Give me a second, I just have a clog here really quick I want to pull out. Perfect. Awesome. Cool. Alright, let's pull these switches out and let's try this again. That one and then this one. Cool. Alright, these two, no bueno. It's all good. Hopefully we get some controls that work. Just often these switch plates are faulty. I got a ton of good parts, so we're good. Alright, let's try these controls. Let's reset this. That's good. Alright, we're good. Controls work. Windows, Alt, spacebar is good. Windows is good. Perfect. Alright, all these keys are good. Sweet. Alright, so now let's put in our number row. And then we'll put in the rest of the alphas and kind of go from there. Cool. All right, I'm gonna put my desolder gun away. Just for the moment, because we're not gonna see, that's not the last we're gonna see of that thing. Right, let me just close out my VIA really quick. There we go, friends. All right, now let's get this going. Let's get my little vent going. Come along, good. All right, so there we go, friends. So there we go. We got our number row of orange Alps. So we're gonna plug this into the computer and see if everything works. So there we go. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we get. Let's get my VIA open. Let's move it over here. Perfect, friends. Let's see. Let's go to our tester. All right. retesting what I already have tested. Escape, backspace. All right, let's see what is gonna work here. Plus works. Hyphen is messed up. 8, 7, 6 is good, 5 is good. 35, 4. Yeah, 5 is messed up. 6 is good. So 5, 7, 8, and dash. Let me just reset this. Cool. All right, so 5, 7, 8, and dash are non-functioning on this one, so that's good. Let's see what we can do. All right, cool. All right, so let's get the desoldering gun out. Told y'all it's not the last time we'll see this puppy. All right. Let's fire up. Get her warmed up, everybody. So let's get this going. So we're just waiting for that red light to turn off, and that means we're good to go. Cool, there we go. Awesome. All right, so we're going in that one. Those two are good. That one, go over 2, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, got a clog. Oh, we got a nice clog in this thing. So give me a second. You get to see me try unclog this damn thing. Give me a second. All right, let's get my thing. Let's unclog this. Ooh, we got a nice one. Whew, that's nice. That was my clog. Look at that. That was the clog. That piece of crap was stuck in there. It's just solder that all hardened up and whatnot, so. Wild, everybody. So, yeah, definitely get used to this, the feel of this tool and what it sounds like, because it's definitely going to help you if you get one of these. So, let's throw that away. Alright, let's try this again. There we go, that sounds correct. Cool. Alright, let's get these switches out. Cool. So those over here. Those are my discards. Don't worry, we got plenty of orange Alps for this one, so. Cool. Let's get those in. Alright, let's try this again. Cool. Perfect. All right, friends, let's see. Okay, got those soldered in. Let's see what we can do. All right, let's get my... Okay, those are good. Good, 7. Cool. Perimeter of the board works, so that's good. Just put that in. So all this perimeter works. So now we're just going to do our main alpha cluster, and then we're going to solder in, and then we're going to troubleshoot, and then we'll replace any switches that are faulty. So, but yeah, we got a good number of orange Alps today. Cool. We're just going to put all 3 of these rows in for the alphas. And then we're going to solder them in. Look at all these pretty orange Alps. One of my favorite Alp switches. Those to the side, those are extras, but look at that. Beautiful. Look at that, friends. So that is our orange Alps assembly. So we're gonna get these switches soldered in. So I'm gonna put the solder gun away because we will be pulling this out again soon. We want to plug our vent in. All right, let's do this. All right, solder these in, folks. Cool. Those are good. 2 more rows and then we'll start troubleshooting. Almost done with this second round, then we got one more, friends. Okay, I'm soldering the last row, and then we're going to see what we can do for troubleshooting. So it's going well, friends. There we go. Got all, let me just double check all of them are soldered. Okay, we're good. So, all right, we got everything soldered. So we're not out of the woods yet. We still got to test these switches and see if we have any faulty switches. That's just kind of what we test for. I have plenty of Alps switches. I got plenty of switch plates, so we're good on parts. So we will get this built for the client, and we want to make sure, again, this is a client commission. One of the things that I do with my client commission builds, before I ever send it out to the client, I thoroughly test everything and I make sure that the board is 100% good to go. Because I am not going to give the client, especially a client who's paying, a board that is faulty or has faulty switches. So we're definitely going to test everything. So far so good. Okay, we have a slow one right here. Okay. Right here. We just have one faulty switch. This is going to be awesome. That is fantastic. So our second one in. So that's going to be our period button right there. Second one in. So let's get this unplugged. All right, let me just make sure we got second one in. So we're just doing this one. That's fantastic. That was a really good. We got really lucky with this batch of switches. Not that many faulty ones, so that's good. Oranges are usually a much better. The switch that's been the bane of my existence is green Alps. I have had such a high failure rate of the switch plates on those switches. So orange Alps been pretty good. I'm like usually have a handful, like probably like 5, 6, 7 of them, but like green Alps is ridiculous, the failure rate. So, that's weird. Another clog. Interesting. Okay. Give me a second. We got another clog we got to deal with on this one. Hold up, everybody. Why is that being stubborn today? There we go. Alright. It's probably just a plug of crap that got stuck in here, so give me a second. Yep. There we go. No, just crap that got stuck in there. It's all good. Got it out. Alright, let's put this chamber back in. Let's put the nozzle back on. There we go. Alright, let's pull that one out again. Alright, let's pull that switch apart. Ah, crap, give me a second. Pull that out. Pull that out. Faulty switch plate. Sucks, but is what it is. Having one faulty switch in that main alpha cluster is fantastic. I will definitely take that. We've been on here for a little, about an hour and a half. That's pretty good. We're making good on time today, everybody. Normally these Alps streams are not that quick, so I will take it. All right. Cool. All right, let's just do that last pin. Let's test it, and then we'll just do one last test of the keyboard, and we should be good. Cool. Awesome. Plug that in. Yep. All right. I think we're good. Yeah, all right, we are good. So that is amazing. So I want to clean this thing out really quick. I just don't want to deal with a bunch of crap that's in this thing. So give me a quick second. I want to just like unclog any crap that's in this thing. So I hate dealing with plugs on this stupid thing. So give me a second. So I really want to put this thing away. I'm going to crank up the heat on this puppy. Awesome. I can clean the chamber later. That's no big deal. I want to get this cleaned up though. So let me just take off my nozzle. Cool. Let's pull that off. Let's just wipe this off. Let's just get any plugged crap out of here. There's already a plug of stuff. Perfect. Cool. Give me a minute. We're just making sure. see that goes again. Just give me a minute. Perfect. I'll take it. Give me, actually. Cool. Awesome. Done with that. Let me turn my soldering iron off. Let's put this over to the side. Put these tools to the side, everybody. Let's close up my soldering wick because we're done with that. All right, so this assembly is pretty much done. We've tested everything, so now we're gonna get the case back and we're gonna pretty much assemble this and drop this into the case. So one thing about this case, we are putting case foam on the bottom of this case. Now, this case foam is not to modify sound. This is actually to protect any of the switches from shorting. One thing about Alps switches, the pins are actually slightly longer than Cherry MX. So this bottom foam is literally just to protect the bottom of the PCB and the bottom of the switches from shorting out. So let me get the mounting screws for this. An actual little tool for this, and then we'll put it in there and put keycaps on, and then we'll do a little sound test. So let me get all the parts for this. Make sure these are the right ones. Yeah, that one. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. All right, let's drop the PCB in. I want to make sure that. Okay, let's get these screws lined up. That one. That one, and then this one. Let's just make sure that USB-C port gets lined up. Cool. Let me just see this. Perfect. All right, we're good. We're lined up. So we are mounted in the case. Let me just put all these extra hardware parts away for the client. They'll get this little baggie with the board when it ships. So, but yeah, you can kind of see the assembly. So you can kind of take the work pad off because we're kind of done with that. Also, those switches can be pushed off the side. You can kind of see it with mine. I'll kind of put mine out here too so we can just kind of see it. But those are our Macintosh builds. Yeah, so let's grab our keycaps. Where the heck did I put my keycaps? There we go. Give me a second, friends. Let me just put these extra switches away. We're not going to need those for right now. Perfect. So let's get our keycaps out. So, I'm going to dump our keycaps out. Now we're going to put them on. There we go. All right, friends. So we got, let's get our big ones first. So we'll put caps lock on. Look at that. Get tab. Get our Controls. Option. Control. And we're getting our big keycaps on. That's just, they're easier to find in this pile. See that beautiful bottom row. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's something on this F key that should have come off. Okay, we're gonna probably pull an F from another one. I don't like that. It's number 2. There we got our letter T, so coming along. Q. X. This is a really sick build. Oh man. There's 0. Number row's almost in. Got our first bracket. Y. Yeah, filling in quite nicely. Awesome. There's spots on these ones. Number 1. Okay, U. Okay, C, B. All right. 4. Oops. Hit J over too far. It's right here. All right, getting close. 7. Got some spots on these. Huh. Pull that off. Yeah, I got some spots on some of these keycaps, which is weird. So. May have to do some additional scrubbing on some of these. We'll see. Yeah, like that. That's weird. Huh. We'll get it squared away. Plus and minus. Perfect. Let's get our A. That looks good. 2. That looks good. Oh, more crap. Looks good. 3WR90 bracket SKCM. Yeah, give me a minute. Some of these keycaps, I think I'm gonna have to do some cleaning. So I'm just kind of putting them on approximately where they go. I need to find that letter N. I think that's it. Yeah, that one looks good. All right. So these keycaps, for some reason, they're a little more grimy. There's some spots on them I'm probably gonna have to clean off. So I'll probably take those after stream to like go scrub those. But at least with these, you can kind of see the most of the build, friends. So let me just kind of show off this one. All right, friends. So these keycaps right here, they're going on the board, but I need to scrub them. There's some additional spots. So I'm probably just going to give them some elbow grease under the sink. But I do want to show you just kind of the comparison. So this is the build pretty much. Again, these caps, I gotta go scrub them. That's just what happens. I probably restored these a few months ago, so I've had these keycaps for a while, but this is good. This is beautiful. Like, we can do a little bit of a sound test compared to like the green versus this. So that's pretty cool. So let me put my microphone and let's do a sound test. That is fantastic, everybody. Put my microphone back up. All right, so everyone, that's our build. I'm gonna go to my sync once we get off stream here, and I'm gonna go. It's a really cool build for everybody. So I'm sorry I can't put these keycaps on. I guess when I restored these keycaps a few months ago, there's just spots I didn't see that on these. So I'm gonna go try and restore. Just get those spots off. Like for this one, you can see like there's just spots of stuff like that. I didn't catch that when I did my deep clean of these a few months ago. So I'm gonna go clean these keycaps off, and then just be on the lookout for like Reddit or Discord and my personal page where you'll be able to see those. So yeah, the caps overall look good. I think the client did a really good job picking the case. So I think they did an excellent job. And these orange Alps are fantastic. What's really cool, these orange Alps are the original switches that went with these keycaps in the Apple keyboards. I mean, we can do a sound test comparison. So this is a metal keyboard. So Alps also do sound really good in plastic cases. So here's the original Apple, keyboard. So this is an Apple standard keyboard M0116. So this has orange Alps. This has been fully restored, and this fully works. So we can also just do a little sound test versus an original Apple keyboard that's been fully restored, and then a modern orange Alps. So these have the same switches, same keycaps. The only difference, this is an ABS case with a steel plate. This is an aluminum case with an aluminum plate. So we can kind of do a little sound test of this one. So let me put this one to the side. I'm just going to put this one on my lap so I can get a proper thing on this one. Let's move this a little bit down. There we go. So let's do a sound test on the OG. All right, so that's the original, the OG with orange Alps. Now let's go to the modern version right here. All right, everybody. I think that's a pretty cool sound comparison. I think they both have their own distinct and I think charm. Both are great builds. I mean, it's nice having an OG Apple keyboard. I love my OG Apple keyboard. I think it's fantastic. So, but yeah, there we go, friends. That is going to be our build. So we have some really cool old vintage stuff. So we have some my personal build, another one of my Apple boards that I restored, and then we have this awesome client case. So I'm going to go see if I can clean up these keycaps. If I can't, I have like a bajillion Apple keycap sets. So it's not the end of the world, but I really would like to keep the entire set together and not mix and match. I mean, they're all identical, but I would like, just for my sanity, to have the set stay together. So, all right, everybody, that's what we're gonna do. That's gonna end the stream. The VOD of this will be. Oh, sorry about that. I knocked something over. The VOD of this will be on my YouTube channel a little bit later on this evening, everybody. So again, thank you so much, and we'll be on stream probably around the same time tomorrow, around 5 or 5:30 PST, and we're gonna do another client build. This time a TKL with some really cool switches. So, all right, everybody, have a great evening.